again, back with the video that I promised, and I didn't quit with the beverages. Sorry, I'm now drinking some very questionable substance here. But let's not dawdle. There's a lot to say in this video, and not a whole lot of time to say it, of course. Unfortunately, all you guys need to subscribe to me so I can babble on for a half hour. Yes, so getting right to it. We're talking about government and proper role of government, and as is the key to these videos, proper role or proper conduct in any kind of human affair, depending on what you're dealing with, is ultimately based upon the nature of the thing you're dealing with, not what someone just comes out and claims and even writes down and convinces other people of. In the case of ethics and morality, sometimes people say, well, ethics and morality are such the way that they are because the Bible said so, and that's not true. Likewise, can we say that pragmatics is not the end result of a user's manual of, say, like a hammer, although hammers don't come with user's manual. Say like a skill saw or something like that, some kind of tool that comes with a user's manual. Pragmatics is not based upon that either. And it's real easy to accept the one, and I don't know why it's not easy to accept the other for most people, but regardless, that's just how the things work. Today we're going to work with government, and many people believe that proper government, likewise, how people think, and these are probably the same people who think ethics and morality is based on the Bible, believe that proper government is based on the U.S. Constitution. But I wonder how it was the U.S. Constitution came to be without a U.S. Constitution existing, of course, before the U.S. Constitution. And that's because it was, if it is an appropriate subscription to, or appropriate account of proper government, then it is because the framers had a proper understanding of what government is and what a human individual is, and they understood the nature of the problem to the fullest extent, precisely on how we had been solving the problems in ethics and pragmatics in the earlier video. So to open up this discussion, I wanted to read to you, if I can find it on my computer, an email that I was sent by a friend and a long-term subscriber. I've provided his link to his channel in the box. Please subscribe to him. Oh God, did I make it go away? Did I close it? Oh no, there it is. And it's talking about property rights, and property rights are incredibly important when we're dealing with proper roles in government. And so I wanted to use his example as sort of a springboard. In this case, he's talking about rights versus privileges, and it's a real world case, and a very personal one. In his situation, it's a court case that he was involved with. I don't know many details, nor are they my business, but I can read you what he wrote me. Here's a part of his email. He says, rights and privilege, or rights and privileges. I'd appreciate a video on this. You can use my court case for it. The judge denied my demurrer motion, stating, and a demurrer motion, I didn't know this because I'm unintelligent like that. A demurrer motion is when someone makes an argument against you, you accept the factual basis of the argument, but do not believe the argument is relevant. The judge says, this court is hesitant to recognize any right to property not subject to governmental control. End quote. And he goes on to say in the email, if a right is subject to control by a higher authority, it is not a right, but a privilege granted by that authority. And I agree. In the case of the government did not give us the right to property. That is an inalienable right, as it is even identified in the Constitution when we say that our right to happiness is an inalienable right. And you say, well, the one says happiness, the other says property. Whence is the discrepancy? And ultimately, I want to demonstrate real quick why those two are related. When you come into this world, a human being is endowed with inalienable rights from life itself, or God, if you choose to so subscribe to something like that. But if you don't, life itself grants the human being life, okay, liberty, because it's not bound to any obligation once it's born into life. It's free. you know, and we have free will, or a very incredible delusion of free will. Either way, it is just relentlessly a relentlessly powerful thing that affects us, regardless if it is true or not. And the right to pursue happiness, which is based upon the idea that every action that we take, whether by free will or by delusion of free will, is to advance our own happiness. It is aimed at our own happiness. I don't have time to make a full defense of that idea. That is the Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. And so you can read that on your own, or I can make a video in the future. Essentially, it claims that every action we make as a human being is aimed at our own happiness. So if you don't buy into that, then most of this will not be very helpful to you. But provided that you do buy into that, when we come into this world and we pursue our own happiness, the right to property becomes essentially intertwined with our right to pursue happiness, because to pursue happiness we need to own things. And as sort of unspiritual as that sounds, and unhippie-ish, and in some cases un-Buddhist and even un-Christian, remember, guys, that even monks own the clothing on their back. They own their eyeglasses. They own their holy books. They own the temple, the gold in the temple, and the soil that the temple is built on. They own their alms bowl. They own the food that they eat before they eat it. All of this is property, and it is necessary to pursue happiness. Ta-da! Now, this is all given to the individual because in his nature dictates that every action he takes is in pursuit of happiness. And to do that, property becomes necessary. So when a government says that it assumes ownership over everything before the individual does, it in fact oversteps its bounds. And in that, we objectively demonstrate the injustice of that court ruling. When people came together and formed a government, ultimately what we can see, or what ultimately we have to recognize, is a government is nothing other than the organization of the collective coercive power of a society. You see, societies can exist even in anarchy. We call it an anarchical society, if I pronounce that right. A society of anarchy exists with a coercive power, a natural coercive power. I kill you, you kill me, you rape me, I rape you, whatever. And in a form of government, we organize that power. We harness it, right? We tie it down and we appropriate it. Now, that could be done by the whim and will of a single person or a single body of people, or we could do it through a constitutional form of government, which the Constitution limits precisely what the government is able to do and what is not able to do in dealing out that organized collective coercive power of a society. And particularly for you liberal buddies of mine out there, this becomes very important when we're considering the justice or the validity of, say, nationalized health care, or any kind of socialist program, or any kind of department of the government, Department of Education, Agriculture, the FDA, the CIA, the FBI. It's all really quite strange, at least in the form that they take these days, because ultimately all of these were put into place ignoring the fact that government really is nothing other than the organized coercive power of a society. It's not there to do anything other than that, other than to deal out the coercive power of society. That's it. That's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. Everything else is up to the individual. And so for the government to assume, especially in this guy's court case, for the government to assume, as the judge did, that the government owns everything, that denies the individual his inalienable right that is born onto him when he is brought into this world by life itself, not by government. Government can't play God, unfortunately for them, I'm sure. But yeah, that's the long and the short of it. And recognize here, really the important part to take home here is that in every situation we're able to demonstrate the objective truth of, in this case, it's not immorality, okay? The court case that this individual shared with us was wrong, not because it's immoral. Immorality deals with an individual and another individual. It was not unpragmatic because that's an individual and his tools. In this case, it's unjust because it accurately recognizes the nature of a government, the nature of an individual, and the affairs that can conspire between those two. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm out of time again, so I'll go off your questions. You guys ultimately are the inspiration for this channel, so please keep it up. I love and care for each of you, and to the extent that I can, I guess. So take care. We'll talk to you again soon.